Welcome to Uncle Joseph Language Center. How questions, elementary. How are you? How do you feel? How are you feeling this morning? How was your day? How is everything? How can I help you? How does he know your name? How do you spell this word? How will we operate this tool? How to use this device? How is the weather in New York? How can I learn Chinese? How did you get my phone number? How did you meet them? How much do I owe you? How can we go there? How long was your journey? How was your last exam? How many hours are there in a day? How many seasons are there in a year? How much money do you have? How often do you visit your friends? How did you come here? How can I reach you? How tall are you? How old are you? How much is your weight? How much does your mobile cost? How did they find us? How much will I pay? How was your holiday? How fast can you speak English? How high is Mount Everest? How much do you love your country? How long were they here? How was your lunch? How did you spend your weekend? How does the food taste? How does that flower smell? How can I get to the station on foot? How did they start the fight? How much tea do you drink in a day? How does that sound? How did the accident happen? How can we learn the truth? How did you say such a thing? How was the patient? How much did you earn last week? How often do you play tennis? How can we trust him? How was the documentary? How many hours a day do they work? How long will the visitors stay? How many tales did your son read? How often do you take a bath? How many sisters do you have? How long will they wait? How often do they travel? How much do you want to buy? How did she do in the test? How many times did the teacher warn you? How many computers can we buy? How can one be so arrogant? How many pets have you adopted? How many email accounts do you have? How well does he know him? How long was the tennis match? How often do you go to charities? How important is money to you? How can we make new friends? How did you meet her? How did the doctor cure this disease? How did they educate their children? How did he quit drinking? How often do you pray? How did you manage to speak English? How did they train the dogs? How can I control my emotions? How do you choose your friends? How to get a loan from a bank? How did you lose your wallet? How did you become a famous writer? How often do they go to the theater? How does poverty affect you? How often do the prisoners take a shower? How do you message on the internet? How many times have you traveled by ferry? How fast do turtles move? How did you learn to ride a motorcycle? How can I lose 15 kilos? How early can you come? How logical is that suggestion? How often did the players exercise? How often did you check your bank account? How do you explain his behavior? How does he use these silly words? How is such a thing possible? How can they do this evil to us? How did you draw that conclusion? How does one endure these insults? How can you refuse such an offer? How well do you know this area? How do I tell him I lost the money? How can I deal with worry?